even though the pull-up is a bodyweight exercise, it is actually quite an advanced exercise, which for some is actually considerably out of reach. My promise to you in this video is that I'm going to give you an action plan for you to achieve your first pull-up and beyond. For those of you that have just jumped on the channel, welcome to the Longevity Strength Coach. My name is Paul Green and I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I have worked for more than a decade in military physical training and I have seen hundreds of people that can't perform a pull-up. Not many in the parachute regiment, maybe some in the Marines, but mainly those that are coming through the Royal Military Academy of Sandhurst. A lot of people can't do pull-ups in the British Army, and it's now a fitness test in the British Army. They need to conduct a certain amount of pull-ups twice a year as part of one of their strength and conditioning review fitness tests. Anyway, I'm now out of the Army, but me as a PTI, me as an SMA, all things physical training, I need to be able to know how to get person A from 0 pull-ups to 5. Anyway, I'm going to share with you the process on how I do that with the people in the Army, or how I used to do it and how I do it currently for my clients on the Longevity Programme. Longevity Programme is a laser-focused strength conditioning service for men over the age of 40 that conduct extreme and adventure sports and martial artists. My goal with this is to keep them doing it for as long as possible, because I'm sick of people walking away from these amazing things because of injuries. I'm absolutely sick of it. It does me head in. I've lost a lot of good mates to injuries in the past because they simply just didn't do 1, 2 or 3 well-structured strength sessions. I've took matters into my own hands, and that's why I do the Longevity Programme, because yeah, it's sad. It's a sad thing to see. So the plan for this video, pull up. Yeah, I'm going to talk about time frame, initial time frame, just to manage your expectations. We're going to go gym based, then we're going to go resistance band. We're going to go weekly volume prescription for yourselves, so you don't do too much or too little. And then we're just going to touch on the rules for effective strength training. Some of you might not actually know how to strength train, what rest periods to have, how hard to train. So it's important I just brush over everything, give you some solid stuff, send you on your way, and then you can get that pull up, hopefully, really soon. I'm going to make my face a bit smaller, actually. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, happy days, stick around. And if I deliver on that promise, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I post every single day, and yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Right, time frame. A pull-up is an advanced exercise. I don't care what people say, it is an advanced exercise. The reason being is you need to have the ability to use your back muscles to pull your full body weight. So you need to be able to assess your current strength level, and you need to do your body weight as well. So then you know how much pulling force you need to produce in order to get your carcass into that nice top position of a pull-up, chest to the bar. So these two are the biggest influences on how quickly you will achieve this. Obviously that makes sense. Small in that face. So to establish your start point, you need to weigh yourself. Weight yourself. God dang it. Weigh yourself. And you need to be able to conduct a lat pull down. And you need to see where you're at. You need to see what weight you are able to pull with correct technique. Obviously, it sounds silly, but this will just give you a really good baseline. And then you would like to think you would, it just project, okay, this is going to take about 15, 20 weeks. Right, so clearly the goal is to build strength of the lat pull down until you can do the lat pull down to body weight. So for me, in this picture, I was about 93 kilograms. Can I do a 93 kilogram lat pull down for 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps? Probably just about. It'd be really difficult. However, I could. And that's the goal. And you're just going to incrementally increase that weight if you only have access to a lat pull down machine. Right, I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller, and we're going to go on to the next slide, see what to do next. So your sub goal of this, it's not just about getting the chin up, it's about getting a well-rounded, strong back, because you just work on the chin up. Yeah, you might get there. However, you might miss out on some of the trap development you can get. You might miss out on some of the bicep development you're going to get. And that having that holistic approach will actually help you out more in the long run, especially for injury prevention, which is everything that I like to talk about on this channel. So I've got 4 recommendations here. We've got a single arm lat pull down, because what you might find, you may struggle with your pull up because one side's stronger than the other, or one side's really weak. So addressing a single arm exercise in these sequence of 3 pulling movements, I think is just a really, really sensible thing to do. Now you could argue that you could make, instead of single arm lat pull down, you could do single arm dumbbell row, or you could do a single arm horizontal. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as there's a single arm in there, it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to go through this now, and I'm just going to remind you to keep your eyes on these bottom 3 words here, 4 words. Stretch, shoulder blades, elbows, because I'll be saying that quite a lot as I'm talking through all this. Every time I do a pulling movement, I'm breaking it down into 3 phases. There's the stretch phase, there is the shoulder blades initiate, and then it's elbows down. I'm not thinking about just simply pulling the weight with my bicep down. Stretch, shoulder blades, elbows down. And I'll say that again on here. However, I don't really do much of a stretch on this chest assisted. When you've got your chest assisted, you have a really good opportunity to leverage that chest assisted to really round the shoulder blades. When you round the shoulder blades, you basically open up your traps and allow your traps to help out with the pulling too. Does that make sense? So stretch, shoulder blades, elbows. The elbows, thinking elbows back or elbows back pocket, will allow you to squeeze your lats really effectively. The stretch in the shoulder blades basically allows your traps to help out with these pulling movements as well. And that's one thing that people struggle with their back muscles, is they don't use their shoulder blades, they don't use their traps. So I'm stretching, shoulder blades back, elbows back nice and smoothly. Stretch, shoulder blades back. Nobody, or I say nobody, I'm being a bit silly with that. Most people don't. Most people don't use their traps. So very underdeveloped traps, and that may be a reason for them not being able to achieve the pull-up. Anyway, there's 3 pulling movements there. Just think a vertical pull and a horizontal pull. Obviously in this one I've got 2 horizontals, which is the dumbbell chest assisted row, the seated chest assisted row, and then I've got the vertical pull, which is the single arm chin up, which is unbelievable exercise for your lat strength. Probably the best accessory movement to improve your chin up strength, because I'm going to go back on this actually. Replay. The reason it's so good is because you can work your lat more so than you would be able to do in a pull-up, because you can get your elbow right down. See that path? The squeezing of you're basically allowing your lat to fully lengthen at the top position, but you're getting more of a squeeze at the bottom than you would even do in a pull-up, so you're working your lat more. Does that make sense? And then just to finish it off, we've got a bicep exercise, a laying down bicep curl, which basically focuses on the pulling at the lengthened part of the curl. And when you are doing a pull-up, your bicep is at length when it's at the hardest part of the rep. So I just thought I'd throw in a bicep exercise. However, you could swap this out for any variation of a bicep curl. I just thought this is the best one that I prefer. Anyway, let's say you don't have a gym. How do you get a well-rounded, strong back to get your pull-up goal sorted with just a resistance band? I've got that covered here as well, so I'm just going to go straight into that. Cancel, where are we? Let me just back out of this a slight touch, and then we go on to Instagram, and I turn the music down because I don't want Oasis to ping me. Okay, pay attention to this and rewind it if you see fit later on. This is gold dust, by the way. I'll give this to hundreds of people to get them to get the first 1, 2, 3, all the way to 5 pull-ups. This progression here just with a resistance band. There's 10 offerings here. So dead hang was the first one. Build up to 10 seconds. And then you're going to do scapular retractions. Scapular retractions is where you keep your arms completely straight and you bring your shoulder blades down. And you allow your lower traps, again, to help out with these pulling movements. Not many people have that awareness to use their traps when they are pulling. It's so important that as early as possible, you start using your traps. I've missed it out for years. I've only learnt this stuff a few years ago, and honestly, my back strength went through the roof. It used to be terrible. Anyway, it's quite a fast-firing video, this, on my Longevity Strength Coach Instagram page. If you fancy jumping on that, treat yourselves. However, I will stop it. You've got assisted pull-up with a band around the foot. So you can see the resistance band here is looped around the top, and then it's back through itself. Most tension on the band is when the band is around the foot. Maximum tension. And then you're going to conduct pull-ups. And then band around the knee, which is less resistance. Then you're going to go assisted pull-up with this grip. And then you're going to go close grip, pull-up negatives. Jump up, slow on the way down. Whoa, lovely that, isn't it? And then you're going to do normal grip, jump up, squeeze, slow on the way down. And then you're going to go close grip. And then you're going to go normal grip. That's 10. I'm going to rattle through them again. My cheese fest of an Instagram page, which was directed at Jiu-Jitsu ninjas. You know what? You can rewind that and stuff like that as you see fit. But there's 10 alternatives there. You've got the hang to 10 seconds. You've got the scapular retractions. You have pull-ups around the foot. You have pull-ups around the knee. You have negatives. And you have the different grips. This grip being more intense. And this grip allows you to use more arms. Does that make sense? So you've got two options. No gym, no problem. And you've got the gym option as well. Obviously the gym option is great because you've got access to this. And every month or so, you can go back and check. Check where you're at, check your progress on the test. I wouldn't do this every single session. And I wouldn't try and do pull-ups every single session either. I'd just leave it. That's the goal. You know what I mean? If your goal's a marathon, you don't want to try and do a marathon every day, do you? You want to build up to it. So just leave the test alone, leave the pull-up alone for a month or so, and then just revisit every month, I think. I think it's a good idea, or even every 2 months, depending on where you're at. Oh, my connection's gotten really weird here. Right, so how often should you train? So a recent study came out a couple of months ago, Joshua Pellard et al. Basically wanted to know how much volume you should do on a certain muscle group for hypertrophy and for strength. Obviously, to achieve the pull-up, that is absolutely a strength-based goal. And I was watching a podcast of his a couple of weeks ago, and he said 10 is the max for strength, right? And there's the meta-analysis anyway on this, meta-regression, sorry. On this, check it out. But get that in however you see fit. You could spread that across 2 sessions, you could spread that across 3 sessions. But just make sure you aren't doing more than 10 weekly strength sets. And with that, obviously I can talk about the volume, what you can and can't do. Just give you some rules so you know how to strength train, right? So strength training, the goal, the intent changes of the working set. You actually want to get stronger. So you are trying extremely hard with working sets of low repetitions, close to failure, and you're getting big rest periods. When you're strength training, you basically stress out your central nervous system a hell of a lot more than when you are doing endurance methods, when you're doing yoga, when you're doing hypertrophy even. You can do a lot more volume with hypertrophy because there's less weight involved, less resistance. But the intent is different with strength training. You adjust that intent, and with that, repetitions get reduced. The time under tension of the working sets is probably a little bit less than what you're currently used to. But again, I just highlight this stuff. No more than 10 strength sets of a muscle group per week. Now, I know you're probably thinking most people only train a certain muscle group once per week. I'm actually an advocate of, on your priority areas, maybe doubling up, maybe doing it 3 times a week instead. Do you know what I mean? Just to ensure that you can really hit this hard. Rest periods, training to failure, 3 to 6 reps. Obviously with that, make sure you're logging your sessions, make sure you're writing how many reps you get and how much weight you lift, and maybe write a sentence on your form as well, because if this is a real goal of yours, you're going to really want to take it seriously. Consider deload weeks every 4, 5 or 6 weeks. So I've been hitting it hard now for 5 weeks. I've been doing weights 5 times a week, and today was one of the first days I had a massive drop off. You know, like 2 reps worse than last week. And up until today, I'd add a rep on every single session. Like sometimes my technique would be better, sometimes my soreness would be less, sometimes the weight that I lift would increase. And the way I run this with my guys on the program is when they get to 6 repetitions on a certain exercise, so they have this flexibility zone, 3 to 6 repetitions, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You've got 4 options. Close to failure, select your weight, and once you get to 6 repetitions, that is your cue to then go 10% heavier the next week. If you're doing 6, 6, 6, 6 for 5 or 6 weeks, you've missed out. You should have went heavier. Do you know what I mean? So that's how you progressively overload your strength training. Just on some of the longevity program fundamentals on how I run things for the guys. But today is the first day I've had a significant drop off. Anyway, I've got one more week to push, and then it's the Christmas week, and I will be doing a deload week on that week where I just go into the gym and I just enjoy training. I'll train a little bit less, train 2 or 3 times that week. But what I usually say is 50% less volume, 50% less intensity. And that's how I run a deload week. Just because I say 4, 5 or 6, if you're 50 or 60 year old, you may need a deload week every 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got some geezers on the program there that's over 60 year old. They might, if I notice a drop off in their strength and all of their other variables, their meal plan, everything's been adhered to, I'm considering, if their numbers aren't improving consistently over a 4, 5 or 6 week time frame, I'm going to consider throwing in a deload week. So I advise you to consider it when performance gains aren't heading in the direction in which you want. Consider throwing in 1 week where you just calm it down slightly, 50% less volume, 50% less intensity, and yeah, that'll ensure that when you come back to training the week afterwards, your central nervous system and your muscles are just ready to continue on another little training block. Does that make sense? Have I missed anything on that? There's so many important things. I'm just looking at the page. I'm just like, that's important. Lads, honestly, this is class. Like, that 6 rep thing there. If you go into the gym and only manage 4 reps on 30 kilograms of a lat pull down, all right, cool. Next week, you're trying to get 5. The week after that, you're trying to get 6. And once you get 6, 10% weight, right, you're now on 33 or 35. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way you're just going to keep adding up the weight, and you're going to head on that progression to get to the lat pull down at your body weight. Then your chin up. Make sure you check in on your chin up once a month to see how it's doing. I'm just looking at everything's so important. And no more. Don't be getting too excited. More doesn't mean more with strength, because your body and your mind need to recover from these sessions. No more than 10 strength sets on any given muscle group. And another way you can make this easier, just as a little bonus tip, is by losing a bit of timber. So if you were going to do this, if you lost a little bit of weight, obviously doing a pull-up would be a hell of a lot easier. Right, that is it, gentlemen. I didn't expect it to go on for 20 minutes. However, I'm glad it did. There was a lot of important stuff. And when I'm writing these lectures, I don't actually appreciate some of the things that I'm writing. However, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it gets you to do your first pull-up. Pull-up is an advanced exercise. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And having these tools in your box to build up to a pull-up will definitely get you on your way in your back strength, back development. All right, man. See you in a bit.